go. So here is like a mini lesson on some interesting uses of minor pentatonic scales. I've done this before. So, you might have heard this, but I think it's important. It's really fun and it's interesting, especially for us guitar players, because we love the minor pentatonic scale so much. So I'm going to teach you two real quick uses for, or applications for the minor pentatonic scale, okay? So first, we're in the key of C, so the 2-5 is going to be D minor, G7, like an altered sound, and then a 1 chord, right? So the C major, so it's going to be like... this sound, right? So first of all, rule number 1, think up a fifth from the 2 chord. Up a fifth from D minor is A, right? So we're going to use A minor pentatonic scale. And for the sake of demonstrations, I'm just going to use the one that we always use. Okay, so here we go. From the D chord. Now we're going to go up in half steps for the next chords. Okay, so you have to ask yourself why this works. There's 2 ways to think about it. One, you can just learn the rule. Up a fifth and then up in half steps, right? And if you just remember that, you can do it. But if you really want to know why, you really just have to look at the scale. And the A is the 5th of D. The C is the flat 7th of D. The D is the D root. The E is the 9th of that D minor chord. And the G is the 11th. So it gives you a lot of those upper extensions, right? Next, over the G chord, altered. What does altered mean? It's got to have something like, any combination of flat 5s, flat 9s, sharp 5s, and sharp 9s, right? Any combination, so. So when you play that B flat minor pentatonic scale, you get all those altered extensions, each one of them, and the flat 7. So it's like a perfect match for the altered chord. And then for the C, I'm playing down a half step, which is B. So, right, we went from A, B flat to B. Now we're... So the B is the 7th, the D is the 9th, the E is the 3rd of C, right? The F sharp is the sharp 11, so we're talking like a Lydian sound. The A is the 6th, so the 13. So it's got all the extensions, the upper extensions of a C major chord that you might want to use, okay? So next up, let's just listen to that, okay? That's a cool sound, don't you think? It's very fun and interesting. So next, I'm going to show you one more, and I don't usually talk about this one too much, but it's another good choice is you think up a second from that 2 chord, and then you go up a half step for the altered chord, and then you go back down a half step for the 1 chord. So why does that work? Let's look at it. So I said E minor pentatonic scale for the 2 chord, the D minor chord. Again, I'm using that shape that we love and we've used for 1,000 years. So just let's look at it. The E is the 9th. The G is the 11th. The A is the 5th. The B is going to be the 6th of the D minor chord, right? And the D is the root. So you got to be a little careful because it's got all those extensions and it's got the 6th in it, which is a Dorian sound. So, just remember that. So if you start like on the 4th string from using this pattern, that D is the root. Now we're going to go up a half step for the G chord, right? So in that case, we're talking F. Now, there's one note that you have to be really careful of. And so we're playing F minor pentatonic. F is the minor 3rd. Is the flat 7th of G. The A flat note is the flat 9 of G. So far, so good. The B flat is the sharp 9. The C is what you got to be careful of. It's like a 4th. You don't associate that with altered, but just it doesn't bother you unless you just hold it for a real long time, right? And even that C note is in like a normal blues scale, so it's not really that weird, but just beware, okay? And then the last note of this minor pentatonic is E flat, or you could think of it as D sharp, which is a sharp 5. So it's got a lot of the altered notes, right? And then when you go back down for the 1 chord, this is a very inside sound for the C major chord, the E minor pentatonic scale. The E is the 3rd, the G is the 5th, the A is the 6th, the B is the 7th, and D is the 9th. So it's a very inside sort of sound, okay? So let's have a listen to that. I'm not that great at this one, but let's just listen to it, and hopefully I don't play anything weird. Okay, so check out the demo and have fun, and always try to do your best.